Academy Award winner Cuba Gooding Jr. finally is speaking out regarding the Little Rodney allegations, as well as his relationship to Diddy. And while he tries to distance himself from Diddy, he also kind of admits he knows exactly what Diddy is doing.
Back in March, Cuba was embroiled in another scandal. He was named as a co-defendant, accused of in one of the many lawsuits against Diddy. Cuba has vehemently denied the allegations.
Well, how do you fully escape it, though? Like your name, for example, was mentioned in the Diddy case.
Which was the most ridiculous thing ever.
Because you barely know
This is the most ridiculous thing ever. But again, welcome to being a celebrity.
Cuba Gooding Jr. was so close to that man. I would thought that was his lady. That's how close he was to him. And then his hands all on his leg and everything. It was crazy, bro. When you see Cuba Gooding fighting a case here in New York, when he said the girl was saying they opened her and everything like that, I'm glad they didn't show that picture.
Academy Award winner Cuba Gooding Jr. is finally speaking out about the shocking allegations linked to Lil Rod, as well as his ties to Sean Diddy Combs. While he attempts to distance himself from Diddy, his comments suggest he may know more than he's letting on. Back in March, Gooding found himself at the center of controversy when he was named as a co-defendant in one of the many lawsuits filed against Diddy. The actor has strongly denied any wrongdoing, but escaping the scandal completely is proving to be a challenge, especially when his name is directly tied to the case. People were quick to point out how close Gooding was to Diddy, with some even joking that their bond seemed stronger than just friendship. Photos and videos have surfaced showing them together in ways that raised eyebrows, fueling speculation. Once a Hollywood golden boy, Gooding stole hearts with roles in Jerry Maguire and Boys in the Hood, but off-screen, his career has been overshadowed by legal troubles and controversy. Now, as he finally addresses his involvement in this explosive lawsuit, new details are coming to light, including disturbing claims from Lil Rod about what really went on behind closed doors.
Against Sean Diddy Combs for assault is adding a new actor to the list of defendants.
Now, this week, new accusations coming to light against Cuba Gooding Jr. The allegations come from a former producer for Combs, Rodney Jones. Now, it originally just listed Diddy as far as grooming, but now Gooding is listed as a co-defendant, accusing him of assault as well. According to court filings, the alleged happened on a yacht rented by Combs that went to the U.S. Virgin Islands last January. Cuba Gooding Jr. has not commented on the lawsuit. Combs has denied the allegations against him. On Monday, Homeland Security investigators executed raids on mansions owned by Combs in Miami and Los Angeles. A senior federal law enforcement official says Combs is a target of an investigative unit that handles human trafficking crimes.
From Boys in the Hood to his Oscar-winning role in Jerry Maguire, show me the money. Cuba Gooding Jr.'s Hollywood career seemed unstoppable, but a number of scandals over the last few years derailed his once promising career. Now, he's ready to make a comeback.
What do you make of these new allegations, Cuba?
God's will be done.
Lawsuits, accusations from multiple women, and in 2022, he pled guilty to forcibly touching a waitress in a nightclub.
You've experienced some very dark times these past few years. But Cuba, so how is your faith? How has it helped you through those dark times?
It's one of those things where I know that I'm here for a reason. And I know that as long as I do what I do and I'm good at what I do and I'm passionate about what I do, God's will be done.
Still reeling from those dark days of scandal, his once squeaky clean image stained forever.
People love you. You know, people do. You seem like you're on top of the world. You're jovial. How did you find yourself in a scenario where dozens of women were accusing you of pleading guilty to forcible touching and settling lawsuits?
People feel that I'm accessible to them, so I come in contact with all kinds of people, from people who adore you, or people who are offended by you, people who feel you're aggressive. And you have to learn that as you walk on this path, you must stay neutral. When people interpret what's going on with you or what you're being exposed to, you have to make sure that you know your intention, and you have to be accountable for your own actions. And I have been. Back
in March, Cuba was embroiled in another scandal. He was named as a co-defendant, accused of in one of the many lawsuits against Diddy. Cuba has vehemently denied the allegations.
Well, how do you fully escape it, though? Like your name, for example, was mentioned in the Diddy case.
Which was the most ridiculous thing ever.
Because you barely know
This is the most ridiculous thing ever. But again, welcome to being a celebrity. Welcome to my world.
Cuba's faith is what has seen him through, and may have others seeing him in a new light.
We'll walk straight out of here. Pretend to be the media.
Now in the wake of the headlines, the Oscar winner is focusing on his latest film, in theaters tomorrow, The Firing Squad, a faith-based redemption story starring newcomer James Barrington and Kevin Sorbo.
It's the true story of these Americans who go to Indonesia and get caught up in drugs or whatever, and they get put in an Indonesian prison and sentenced to death. You literally see the journey that these young Americans go through, and I kind of walked them through their journey.
I found Christ in here, and he forgave me.
I found Christ too.
I mean, let's be frank. People who watch this interview, there are going to be some people who say that's another celebrity who is using faith to make a comeback from experiencing a scandal.
You can't please everybody all the time, but the people that are there to celebrate your artistry, that's my job, and that's my only mission in life.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to tell you something. This P. Diddy thing is like Jeffrey Epstein on Dynamite. Now it just came out that Cuba Gooding was added as a defendant by one of the victims in this case. This is going to blow up so big, you're not going to believe it. From what I am hearing on the ground here in Los Angeles and the names of people that are going to be attached, I got no idea how big this is going to be, but it's going to make Epstein look like a Cub Scout.
According to the lawsuit, Gooding is accused of inappropriately touching and fondling Mr. Jones's legs, inner thighs, lower back, and groin area. The allegations are unsettling, and with so many layers to this unfolding scandal, the question remains, how deep does this go? Buckle up, because this might be wilder than we ever imagined. More shocking allegations are surfacing as Cuba Gooding Jr. is now officially named in the lawsuit against Diddy Combs.
Cuba, with all this stuff that's coming up with Diddy and you're on one end, 50 Cent is calling out Diddy and here's what he's doing and all this stuff, and they got the back and forth.
Yeah.
I got Suge on here.
Look at this example. Look what happened.
Yeah. And I got Suge on. Yeah, exactly. No question about it. What do you think is going on with all the stuff with Diddy, with Little Rod, with, all the stories that everybody's hearing about?
You mean in terms of what?
I mean, being raiding his house being raided.
I mean, that's crazy. That's the craziest thing I'd ever. And then, hey, how about me? I wake up in the morning, I turn on the stage show, and Actor Cuba Gooding Jr. I was like, excuse me, pull me into this. I think whatever he's dealing with, he's on his journey, man. I think that God has got him on a path where I can't imagine that he's stupid enough to do whatever he's doing and keep it on his premises. I think that the raid and all of that stuff, only time will tell. Who was involved, who had been a frequent guest in these places and areas. It's funny because my lawyers said, every outlet in the world wants to talk to you. And again, I'm not defining myself from some headline in the press. So I stayed quiet. And it's so funny. So I'll tell you a little story about who my girlfriend is. She gave Robert De Niro 3 grandkids. Her name is Claudine De Niro. She married his son, Raphael. They separated and we've been together for a while. But she, at one point, ran Naomi Campbell's publicity. She, at one point, ran P. Diddy's publicity, right when he started doing the white party thing. Mm-hmm. He had just gotten freed from indictment, found not guilty. Did he? And he said to her, I'm going to die running with these niggas. I need you to help me with the white folks and the switch. And so she helped cultivate his new image. So they had a friendship for years. But I had never met him till probably 2019-20, just casually, Claudine and I. He invited us to his house. The pandemic was starting to ease, and hadn't seen him since that night where this guy with this picture. It says that I had my shoulder on him and all this stuff, making it look sordid. Well, that picture, everyone in the room, there's probably 300 of us on the deck of P. Diddy's, I'm going to show you, on P. Diddy's boat, New Year's Eve. I went from one ship, Happy New Year. So I hung out with Tyson, and next ship, there's Drake. This ship had P. Diddy. He had his guy, his videographer. They're listening to music. And he says, hey, Cube, listen, you want to hear P. Diddy's new song? I said, yeah, sure. Sit down next to him. They didn't use this angle, which to me makes me laugh, because I go, oh, I get it. You made it look the way you wanted it to look. But that, and if you hold it, you know how you hold it and it does the thing where, can you hear all the people? If you tap it or something, it's a live picture. Do you see what I mean? It's like, here we are, just listening to music. Finished, took the thing off, said whatever I said to him, left. That was it. But this guy who's suing him, going after the money, man. I'm sure. And by the way, I don't know P. Diddy's life. I don't know what he's going through. I don't know what the police are going to find on all of that.
Were you guys close? Were you guys friends, or?
We were acquaintances, just like I just showed you. Yeah. 2-3 times I've seen him, so it's...
Oh, so Diddy, you've only seen him 2 or 3 times.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
So why would they include you all of a sudden in some way?
I think because of the darkness of the other grab of the cases that I already had went through.
Right. A lot of that stuff is 18, though, 19, right? Those are from 5-6 years ago, the cases.
That's right.
And that was that at the peak of the Me Too movement, or was that pre-Me Too movement?
That's right.
Is Me
That's
Too
right
movement,
when it kicked off. Yeah,
right.
That was crazy.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Diddy.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. 100%. But I did not know that you guys only hung out 2 or 3 times.
That's it, man.
Former producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones has accused Gooding of inappropriate advances, adding another layer to the already explosive case. According to court documents, Jones claims Gooding touched his shoulders, back, buttocks, and inner thighs while they were on a yacht rented by Combs in the U.S. Virgin Islands last January. Jones says he repeatedly leaned away and rejected Gooding's advances, but the actor allegedly didn't stop until he was forcibly pushed away. Initially, Jones's lawsuit focused on allegations of grooming against Diddy, but with Gooding now listed as a co-defendant, the case is taking an even darker turn.
And it was a stunner. It was absolutely horrifying, although also confusing. If I remember correctly, Jesse, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it this complaint that alleged that Combs suddenly touched in some way this guy's like it was a surprise? I'm sorry to get graphic, but I remember reading how does that happen just out of the blue?
Sure.
And the whole complaint reads like this. He says he was a videographer for Combs and a producer, and he's got a lot of this stuff on tape. But give us a feel for the Rodney Jones lawsuit also being handled by Tyrone.
Okay, so he is alleging a number of things. He is saying that, yes, he was harassed by Combs, that he was fondled, that he was forced to watch Diddy naked, taking showers, that he was forced to recruit workers to perform with them for the pleasure of Diddy, that he was drugged at one point, found himself in bed with workers. So you already see flavors of and sex. He also says he witnessed acts of violence. He said that he was Diddy involved in a shooting at a recording studio, that Diddy admitted to his involvement, as we mentioned before, the 1999 nightclub shooting, that he's seen that he's seen illegal weapons possession. He is alleging everything. And big theme from that too, is he is alleging that Diddy groomed him for The reason I bring that up, Megan, is because there's been a lot of rumors and speculation about Diddy because of things like that. And one of the things that he says is Diddy showed him a video of a prominent person in the music industry having sex. He mentioned how he was a victim of Cuba Gooding Jr., that Cuba Gooding Jr. one night was on a yacht and Diddy left them alone, and Cuba Gooding Jr. fondled him and made him uncomfortable, and that he's now suing Cuba Gooding Jr. for that. And yes, Rodney Jones, it's a big lawsuit, but not only has Diddy's counsel come out and completely denied it, but several of the high-profile people who are named in that lawsuit, not as defendants, by the way, but just named, they're accused of being these workers that they were paid by Diddy to perform. They said this is complete lies. These are well-known artists like Young Miami. And so the fact that you have people who are not even named as defendants, but just mentioned in the lawsuit saying this is not true, again, kind of gives you a little bit of pause to think about what's going on. And Cuba Gooding Jr. came out. I thought this was fascinating because Cuba Gooding Jr. has been quiet since all this happened. And he sits down for a podcast interview with Patrick Bet-David.
We have this, actually. Let me play it, and then you take it on the back end. Take a listen to Stop 21.
What do you think is going on with all the stuff with Diddy, with Little Rod, with, all the stories that everybody's hearing about?
You mean in terms of what?
I mean, being raiding his house being raided.
I mean, that's crazy. That's the craziest thing I'd ever. And then, hey, how about me? I wake up in the morning, I turn on Today Show, and Actor Cuba Gooding Jr. I was like, excuse me, pull me into this. I can't imagine that he's stupid enough to do whatever he's doing and keep it on his premises. I think that the raid and all of that stuff, only time will tell who was involved, who had been a frequent guest in these places and areas. It's funny because my lawyers said, every outlet in the world wants to talk to you. And again, I'm like, I'm not defining myself from some headline in the press. So I stayed quiet.
Go ahead, Jesse.
I think we tried to get him on Sidebar, by the way. So we were one of those outlets. But no, look, I thought that was really interesting because he's not outright denying everything about Diddy. He's not saying, the guy's completely innocent. But what was really interesting in the interview, he says, I really don't know Diddy. He's an acquaintance, met him 2 or 3 times. I can't speak anything more about that. In regards to me, and this was fascinating in that interview, he goes, that night, I was jumping from yacht to yacht. It was New Year's Eve. I ended up on Diddy's yacht. This guy's listening to music. We're listening to it. And there's a picture, by the way, in that lawsuit with Cuba Gooding Jr. next to Little Rod Jones. He's got his arm around him, looking very close next to him. And he goes, that photo that Jones put in his lawsuit, let me show you something else. And he shows Patrick Bet-David another photo. We don't see what it is, but it's apparently a live photo. He goes, look, this is a different angle. He goes, so they decided to put this one photo in to make it look like something. There's another side of the story, said that this is a money grab. So he came out on the defensive against what he's accused of, but not so much against all the allegations for Diddy. And he definitely.
So far, Gooding has remained silent on the accusations, while Diddy has denied all claims against him. The legal drama escalated even further this week when federal agents raided Diddy's mansions in Miami and Los Angeles. A senior federal law enforcement official confirmed that the music mogul is now the target of a human trafficking investigation. For Gooding, these latest allegations add to an already troubled history. Once a Hollywood star known for Boys in the Hood and his Oscar-winning role in Jerry Maguire, his career has been overshadowed by lawsuits and scandal. In 2022, he pleaded guilty to forcibly touching a waitress at a nightclub, and now, with this new lawsuit, his attempt at a comeback might be over before it even begins.
I got you. But looking at this lawsuit, right, Little Rod, he alleges that, Diddy, he'll put his hands on him. But, when he'll put his hands on him, he'll disguise it as horseplay. But he felt like Diddy was trying to groom him, in a sense.
Well, with the horseplay situation, I used to see him do that with certain women. You understand? When he was mad, upset, or he was too old for this to do that play fighting. You understand? So I can imagine him play fighting with Lil Rod. Because, a lot of people could say what they want to say about Diddy. He got a knuckle game. He will fight you. You know what I'm saying? You his size, you understand something like that? Around your size, something like that, he would fight you. He had a knuckle game. He wasn't that dude that like people try to say he was some old scared. Nah, he would fight you. You understand? So I could see with a person like Lil Rod, he probably was roughing him up, grabbing him, groping him. You know what I'm saying? Acting like he playing with him, but he actually want him to do what he want him to do. So, like I said before, that's in the past. So when I read it from Lil Rod, I see he's doing the same in the future.
So he was doing this with females too back then when you was around.
Right. That's how him and Kim got into the fight, and play fight. He used to play fight with the pillows, like the pillow fight, that dumb shit. That's kid shit. But if that's the way they do, that's the way they do. You understand? He used to do it with Kim all the time.
So the horseplay was his way of grooming you in a sense.
Well, that grooming, that's some, you know what I'm saying? We didn't call it grooming back then. That his horseplay was a way of letting you know I could really hurt you if I wanted to. You get it? I could really hurt you. And that's what that kid probably felt. Yo, why he doing me like that? Oh, he just playing with you. No, he was letting you know, if I turn this up, I could really hurt you.
And that was his way of trying to get you to be submissive to him.
Right. He's letting you know, he's putting in your mind, listen here, bro. He's trying to put in his mind, we're playing now. But if I really want to turn this on you, it's on. You ain't got no wins. So that kid is feeling, yo, listen here. In his mind, if you read the documents, in his mind, he was so scared that when he went to other people in the camp and said, why did he treat me? Why did he doing this and doing that? They said, oh, he just playing with you because he love you. He like you. He was trying to instill that fear in you that he had in you. And he won.
Yeah, that does make sense, man. And me looking at this lawsuit, he's also, alleging that he met Cuba Gooding Jr. through Diddy on Diddy Yacht. And it even got to a point where he started touching him on his, upper inner thigh near his groin, according to him.
Did you see the picture?
Nah, I didn't get to see it, but
oh my God. Yo, listen to me, man. I don't know if it was what they call it when you take two pictures and they put it together, stuff like that. What they call it when they put the pictures together and it don't belong together, but they put it together. Whatever.
Side by side.
Yeah, whatever they call that. Cuba Gooding Jr. was so close to that man. I would thought that was his lady. That's how close he was to him. And then his hands all on his leg and everything. It was crazy, bro. I don't even believe that. So when you see Cuba Gooding fighting a case here in New York, when he said the girl was saying that he was and everything like that, I'm glad they didn't show that picture at his trial. Because he would have been guilty. That's how close he was to that kid, man.
So you seeing on pictures, do you believe his claims?
Yeah, I believe his claims. If somebody put something in Cuba Gooding Jr. ear that this was fresh meat, or see can you break him, or see can you do something? Because don't no other man be that close to no another man, for that reason. Come on, bro.
With federal investigations ramping up and more accusations coming to light, one question remains: how deep does this scandal really go? Cuba Gooding Jr. has faced some of the darkest times in recent years, but he says his faith has been his guiding force. When asked how he's managed to push through the scandals and accusations, the actor responded, "I know I'm here for a reason. As long as I stay true to my passion and purpose, I believe God's will is being fulfilled."
Explained as the Ghislaine Maxwell of P. Diddy's operation. Christina's former title was day-to-day manager. In 2020, she was promoted to chiefs of staff. Allegedly, just like Ghislaine Maxwell, her job was to supply the girls. She supplied and minors for multiple parties. In Little Rod's lawsuit, she is accused of helping P. Diddy attempt to groom him into accepting homosexuality for other men. One of these men being Cuba Gooding Jr. Little Rod said his fears became a reality when Diddy attempted to pimp him out to Cuba, who attempted to fondle and grope his inner thigh. He only stopped after Little Rod had to forcefully push him off him. She also ensured that all domestic staff had all types of narcotics on hand and fanny packs for Diddy at will. It was on the day of the raid that Little Rod had added Cuba Gooding Jr. to the lawsuit. Cuba Gooding Jr. has had multiple assault claims.
Once celebrated as one of Hollywood's most charismatic stars, Gooding's reputation has taken a serious hit. His once squeaky clean image is now overshadowed by controversy, with numerous women accusing him of misconduct. allegations that led to a guilty plea for forcible touching and multiple lawsuit settlements. When questioned about how he ended up in such a storm of allegations, Gooding reflected on the challenges of fame. People see you as accessible, and that means you encounter all kinds, some who adore you, others who misunderstand or even feel offended by you. As you walk this path, you have to stay grounded, be accountable for your actions, and stay true to your intentions, and I have been. Despite his efforts to move forward, his name remains entangled in legal troubles. Back in March, Gooding was named as a co-defendant in one of the explosive lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs. While he has vehemently denied any wrongdoing, the shadow of scandal continues to follow him.